Alabama was off this week, but that doesn't mean some good things, and I guess maybe some bad things didn't happen for them.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson, that's me. Alabama Internet legend Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. No, it's not, but it's not. I'm teasing. It's brought to you by Game Time. Brought to you by Game Time. We'll talk about Game Time here in just a little bit. I want to thank you everydayers for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making this first listen every single day. You guys are the best. So, Jimmy, it's kind of stinky when Alabama doesn't play. I know we needed the off week. We needed it badly. And, yeah, but for me personally, I mean, when you wake up on Saturday and there's no Bama, it's kind of like, let's just get through this. I mean, you know what I mean? But yesterday provided some drama in a lot of ways. And I think some of the things that happened certainly help Alabama. First of all, I think a lot of people probably like me. I'm just glad Tennessee's out of the playoffs. They're out. You can't get in. You can't get in. They will not have a quality win on their schedule anymore.
Yeah,
they're done. I bet on them to not make the playoffs. So I'm happy about that. Also bet on Auburn to not make the playoffs. They hadn't even been in the playoff talk since about week 0.
You couldn't have made too much money on that one.
No, I made practically zero money, but I do feel smart about it. Because at the time, there were people like not Ari Wasserman, but the guy who does stuff with him.
Staples?
Maybe Andy Staples said, hey, watch out for this Auburn team. They're my dark horse to make a run in the playoffs.
Yikes.
That's
a terrible take. That was a terrible take even this summer. I mean, I thought Auburn would be better. They weren't. I saw Auburn play in the opener against Baylor. I thought on that alone, hey, this Auburn team maybe has something here. And all they've really done since week 1 is regress, the complete opposite of Alabama.
Yeah.
Boy, if you just invested Alabama and Auburn stock into what happened week 1, you are very, very wrong on both counts. And it goes to show how the ultimate overreaction Sunday is the first one. They're all overreaction Sundays, all of them. But week 1 overreaction Sunday, if you want to be wrong as all get out, overreact on the first Sunday of opening weekend.
Texas Vanderbilt. Look, I don't know if that really had an effect on Bama one way or the other. The only way I could imagine it has an effect is if Texas, let's say Texas were to win out, which I think is a long shot, but let's say that they do win out. They still got to play A&M. They still got to go to Georgia next week. They still got to play Arkansas. And then it comes down to like they're 10-2 and Alabama's 10-2 and they're a bunch of 10-2 teams. I'm not saying Texas would get in over us. I'm saying Texas may get a spot higher than us because of brand and because of because they would also, one of their better wins would also be one of our better wins. Their loss would be better than our loss. And if we lose a game coming down the stretch, we could lose to, say, Oklahoma, a team that Texas beat rather handily. So I'm just saying something like that could go. I don't believe it will. Don't get me wrong. I think Texas loses this weekend against Georgia. So don't get me wrong. I'm just saying.
This weekend?
That is this coming up weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is this coming up. So it's a big weekend. That's, that ABC had this weekend set up pretty nicely. You had some pretty good games. You have Alabama and LSU, but of course that's turned into something completely different than what it was intended to be. And then you've got Georgia, Texas.
Georgia plays Mississippi State this weekend, actually.
Am I wrong? I'm wrong about that?
Yeah, Georgia is at Mississippi State this weekend, and Texas is off in the upcoming weekend.
Really? Boy, I am.
Well, as soon as you said that, I'm like, wait a minute. I
screwed that up. I've been thinking all day. Well, it's another problem with Alabama having an off week. When Alabama has an off week, I'm double checking everything. This week, I just kept saying, next week, Georgia.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought it was weird because
Texas finishes pretty tough. I mean, at Georgia and Texas A&M in the last 2 weekends.
Game day is going to Utah again, or no, they're going to Texas Tech
and BYU.
BYU. That's what I guess they are going to Utah.
It's at Lubbock. It's at Lubbock.
Yeah. Oh, it
It's
is Olympic. Okay.
it's
God,
the
is there something I can't get right? I mean,
well,
I'm
see, but
getting
that's what
everything
happens
wrong.
on Alabama off weekends.
It throws me off.
It's hard for many to be super engaged. I think when Alabama's off, it's like literally okay, time to shut the brain off, and I did that myself. Um, but I enjoy these Alabama off weeks. Frankly, I enjoy more than most just because I like having a Saturday that's not particularly stressful. There's no stress, just enjoying games, and I enjoyed the heck
I
out of
hear
it.
you.
Like you said, I think a lot of results benefited Alabama. Some results maybe not so much, but in the end, it doesn't really matter right now because all Alabama has to do is win. That's all Alabama. Alabama's in if they just keep winning and you beat LSU and you beat Oklahoma and you beat Auburn, obviously Eastern Illinois. Uh, you win those games and you're just in. Plain and simple. Now, I think what everybody's interested in, I'm sure you are too, is well, what if Alabama drops one, which is quite realistic. What if Alabama drops one? Are they still in? Uh, Based on yesterday's results, I would say strong. I would say, well, I'm going to use almost certainly. I
I'm
think
gonna use almost certain too. As long as it's only one.
as long as it's only one, it's almost certainly. I think Alabama can drop one to any of them, even Eastern Illinois. We know that won't happen, but they could lose any of the other three. It's hard to imagine Alabama losing to Auburn after that disgusting display of offensive football.
Jimmy, that's where I was going to go
Just
next.
disgusting display.
You know that I hate playing there. You know why I hate
I do.
that place. I
I
don't
do.
enjoy going to Jordan Hare for anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go and I'm like, why'd I go? I just don't enjoy it. It is the ultimate. I just feel a sigh of relief when I walk out. I don't feel good, even if we win. Now,
Yep.
they looked so bad yesterday
Mhm.
that I'm having a hard time even convincing myself like they're going to give us a good game. I still believe in my heart of hearts Auburn's going to fight against us.
Agreed.
My guess is it's going to be because DJ Durkin is running the show by that time.
Probably.
But Auburn was so bad last night. It was one of those things where I've talked to so many Auburn people and they'll be like, well, we just got to get Jackson Arnold out of there. Well, we just got to, we got to throw it to the receivers more. We got to do
That's
this.
hilarious.
We got to give it to
Everybody thinks the backup quarterback's the answer. Well, they tried it. How did that look, folks?
that backup quarterback was so bad. And I mean, he was so bad. Every time he threw it, it felt like he was going into the stands. But now it also doesn't matter when your offensive line is as bad as theirs is. It
Right.
is bad. Like, whew, it's rough.
Auburn defensively is pretty good. I mean, defensively, this is a quality SEC football team defensively, but offensively, it's just so atrociously bad that I'll be very disappointed if Alabama plays Auburn at this point and gives up, like, let's say, more than 10 or 12. I will be thinking that Alabama completely laid up if you give up 10 or 12 to Auburn. That's how bad it is. And obviously, offensively, you should score more than that. Though I do think it could be some tough sledding for Alabama's offense at Jordan Hare against a quality SEC defense, no doubt. DJ Durkin, I think, is one of the better defensive coordinators in the SEC. And it'll be interesting today. We're recording this Sunday morning. A lot of talk that Hugh Freeze will be fired today. I think that's highly possible. I think it's what should happen. But for everybody that says they think it should happen, for those adamantly that like it must happen, I'm sure Auburn would like you to forward $15 million to their athletic department.
Well, I'm going to say this. I don't think it happens I don't think it does. Again, I've been wrong about everything in this podcast so far, and these are things I could have easily checked. This is something I'm going to be wrong about, and I'm taking a guess. And
Why do you think not today? Money?
Because they get an off week next week. So if you go in there, you let him be the sacrificial lamb to Vanderbilt. By the way, I am more confident than ever Vanderbilt's going to slap them around. I really think Vanderbilt's going to beat them double digits. I mean,
that game is next weekend, right?
That game is next weekend. I am positive of that one.
Yeah, I'm positive of that too. And I think Vanderbilt's going to win handily. I think Vanderbilt wins this game handily.
I mean, like, I'm talking 14 to 17, 21 points, something like that. Because Vandy, say what you want to, if you watched it, they had some mistakes that were uncharacteristic of Vanderbilt against Texas. Mm-hmm. But when Vandy woke up, Texas themselves, they were having trouble. So
Vanderbilt proved again how good they are. Yes, I know they lost, but they proved again how good they are. a high quality this year, a high quality SEC football team. But I do not believe Vanderbilt will be in the playoff, though they could if they went out. They could.
They went out.
If they went out, they could. But I think Vanderbilt will beat Auburn. I'm with you. I'm like that's a lock to me. I'm interested. Have you seen the line? Is it
No, I don't know
is
that
it
it's come out
15?
quite yet.
15, 17?
I mean, I bet you Vandy probably because of brands and everything else. I don't think Vandy will be more than like 8 or 9.
Wow.
I'll be shocked if it's more than
I
that.
think they win by 20. I really do. But I do think defensively, DJ Durkin, he'll come up with a good plan. They got good defenders. I don't think Vandy's going to run up and down the field, but I just don't see how Auburn scores much at all. And Vanderbilt's certainly going to score some. So I like Vanderbilt there for sure. I think Missouri, Texas A&M next weekend is also really interesting because Missouri's down to the third quarterback. If Bo Pribula was still their starter next Saturday, I would like Missouri at home to maybe finally end A&M's win streak, but they're down to QB3, and it's a true freshman, and Matt Zollers, I think, is likely the starter. So, boy, A&M, things are just kind of working out for them, right? I mean, this is what happens when you're good and you get on a roll. Things just sort of magically work out for you. They go to Missouri, tough place to play, but will face a true freshman QB3.
Yeah, that is true. Like when you're on a roll, nobody ever talks about the bad breaks you've gotten. They look for the good breaks because nobody wants to believe, oh, you're just that good. You've had this, and this help you. And when you're on a bad roll like Auburn, it's like everything that happens, you're like, oh my God, we got to cut this out. We got to change this. I mean, I know some pretty ardent Auburn fans, and they do a podcast, and after the game, they were like, you know what? I mean, it was almost like me ranting about DeBoer's shirt. They were like, you know what I'm a little sick of? Our little pyrotechnic show in the fourth quarter. He said, I'm sort of tired of us showing all these, this place is haunted. This place is, he said, everybody's come in here and beat us. It's not haunted. It's fine. And I was like, I get it, man.
It's a crazy stat that they've lost 3 SEC games, I think, at home this year, and Alabama has only lost 2 since 2015 altogether.
That's
a bonkers stat on both ends. Truly bonkers.
I thought, man, I don't know if you were following me on Twitter at all last night. I almost fell off the couch. I was laughing so hard when the play-by-play guy for the World Series, well, actually, it was the play-by-play guy for the Auburn game, but they showed the World Series score, and it said, well, right now, the Blue Jays are up 3-1. And he said, the Blue Jays are up 4-3. Blue Jays are outscoring Auburn.
Against Kentucky. Against Kentucky.
And Kentucky doesn't even have they don't even have a designated hitter. I mean, no. All right, let's talk a little game time. Y'all know how much I love game time. Use it all the time. I'm going to use it next week because I am going to go to the game in Madison Square Garden between Alabama and St. John's. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping up at checkout, all that junk. But you know what? Go pull up Game Time right now. Just in a couple of taps, I bet you will find an amazing deal for roughly like $25 to whatever you want to go see. It's pretty awesome. And there's no hidden fees. That's what I love about it. That makes buying super simple. A Jimmy could do it. So take guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Jimmy Stein guaranteed. Okay. College football playoffs rankings will drop Tuesday.
Yep.
You know what? I really like that they take this long to do this. I would be on board. I know that the TV crews and everything, TV stations, TV networks, whatever, they would not be on board with this because putting a ranking in front of something makes that something seem more valuable. Okay. Daniel Tosh had a great joke how he used to, sometimes he goes, I go out at night and I just stay out late in LA. And if I see 3 girls walking up to me, I just go, first, second, third. And he goes, all of a sudden they're like, what? And then I just walk away. He said, but I know later that night when they come home and they find their roommate, she's wearing a ribbon. She goes, oh, I don't know. Somebody on the street just said I won. Becky didn't even place. But if you put a ranking in front of something, it makes it seem better. Like when you see a game between two unranked teams, you're like, what else is on? Unless it's your team. But when you see, if it's like number 10 against number 17 and it's all arbitrary crap, you sort of buy into it. So I kind of wish we would wait till this point in the season. And I am hoping, even though I know where it's all human nature, I'm hoping that this committee is looking at the full picture up to this point. Like, don't put Ohio State there at 1 unless you really believe they're 1. I could buy that you think they're 1. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's much safer and much better and a better precedent to put Texas A&M at 1. And I'm no Aggie. I'm no Aggie. I'm just, and I am an SEC homer, but A&M's got better wins, don't they? I mean,
to me, it's just a better resume. I mean, A&M has the best resume to me. I think they should be number 1. Now, not all these A&Ms have been games have been perfect. Not all these losses, if they look, they've kind of been fortunate to win some of these games. I mean, that game at Arkansas, I wouldn't say that Texas A&M looked like the future national champions, but in the end, it comes down to who have you beat, especially among those undefeated teams at the top. I do think A&M, Ohio State, and Indiana will be 1, 2, and 3 in some order. I think A&M will be number 1. Why? Best resume of the 3. Indiana's got the best win. But the resume in terms of winning at Oregon, I think it's very impressive, especially the way they did it. But looking at the resumes as a whole and not just focusing on one outcome, looking at the resumes as a whole, to me, it's A&M 1. I would go Ohio State 2, Indiana 3, although wouldn't be too upset if Indiana was 2 and Ohio State was 3, just based on who they beat. I mean, people look at Ohio State like, well, they beat Penn State. Well, what does that mean? They beat Texas. For a while, people were saying, well, gosh, that's not really much of a win. I would say as the season has progressed, Texas is sort of slowly, they're good. They're good now.
Watch it. I'm going to say,
great.
I hear where you're going with that, but then I do have to remind myself, watch it a little bit. They needed overtime to beat Kentucky. Mm-hmm. They needed overtime to beat Mississippi State. They got it done. They had a goal line stand against Kentucky. They had a punt return, and then they were able to stop Mississippi State in overtime. You know, they overcame a 17-point deficit in the fourth quarter or something nutty against Mississippi State, or 21 point. And then this game, they look, I hate to say they look dominant against Vandy. They look pretty good against Vandy. And then it's like they just sort of backed off, and Vandy like took a punch to the nose. And once they shook off those cobwebs, Vandy was giving it right back to them. So I'm like, I don't still know what to think of Texas.
I think they're very good, but it's not really going to matter in the sense that one more loss and Texas is done, and they play at Georgia and Texas A&M. It is very hard to imagine the Texas team that we've seen all year winning both of those games. All they have to do is lose one, and then they're definitely out. And the odds, I think, heavily suggest that they will lose one or the other, if not both. So, but that said, I think Texas is closer. I know that Texas was sort of disastrous early. I don't think they're disastrous anymore. I just think they're good. Are they good enough to beat Georgia and Texas A&M? I doubt it, but I'm certainly going to be interested enough to watch.
That Texas A&M game is becoming more intriguing, but it's only going to be really intriguing if Texas beats Georgia.
If Texas beats Georgia, that game is going to be just phenomenal. But I don't know that will happen. I also won't be shocked if it happens. That's why the SEC is so fun, so many good teams. And, of course, this is just one of the great weeks in Alabama history. I mean, this week, Alabama playing LSU and all their chaos they got going on is just fascinating. We'll be talking about all week here on Locked on Bama. Probably spending as much time talking about LSU as we do Alabama because it's just so fascinating. And then secondly, Alabama's playing in Madison Square Garden, maybe the most famous basketball arena on the planet Earth, against hometown St. John's and Rick Pitino, who's sort of Mr. New York City when it comes to basketball. St. John's has a fantastic team. Great test for Alabama out of the gate in game 2. Boy, what what a week of buildup it's going to be. Let's not forget Alabama versus North Dakota on Monday. A lot of y'all listen to the show on Monday, meaning that Alabama plays North Dakota tonight. Some of y'all listen to it on Sunday, and it's tomorrow. I'm watching the women too. I'm very curious to watch this women's team and see how they look like, because they have a lot of new faces in the lineup. But this team looks talented and deep, trying to make the NCAA tournament, I think, for the 4th year in a row. Long time since Alabama's done that in women's hoops.
Back to the rankings for a second. Let me say this. I would not put Indiana 1. I would not put Indiana above Ohio State. And my reasoning would be this, that while I think the win over Oregon is arguably the best road win of the year, I would say Alabama's over Georgia is also up there.
Yep.
But I think that, okay, that's fine. You want to say take that one thing and be happy about it and use that as, that's your big stick. They have played literally no one else. Their non-conference is so bad it's disgusting. And
yeah, it's better than it was last year.
I guess Iowa
still bad enough. And Illinois is pretty good. I mean, they're top 25-ish.
Yeah, I just, Jimmy, I keep wanting to dock them something for the non-con. I just do. Yeah. And so
it's outrageous.
If I'm doing it, I do it this way. And again, this is going to come off as being an SEC and Bama homer, but if I'm ranking, I go A&M, then I go Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Then I would have the audacity to put Bama. And the reason is because they did play Florida State. They lost to them, and it's docked them. Alabama got sent way back into the ether for that loss, and they should have. But they have since then rattled off win after win after win over
Indiana didn't schedule Florida State. When you say, how good's Florida State? But Indiana doesn't schedule teams as good as this bad Florida State team.
Correct.
Who was, by the way, impressive yesterday. Florida State impressively beat the holy heck out of Wake Forest. And some people had Florida State on upset alert in that game.
Yeah, I know.
They won something like 49-10 or something.
So then I would have Indiana 4. And I think we're picking nits because I think what's going to happen, I think Indiana will either win out because they don't play anybody else really, and then they'll beat Ohio State. And then I think they may be number 1 in this whole thing, which would be bananas. Or they will lose to somebody, and I'll ultimately proven to be, hey, that's probably what should happen. So those top 4.
Someone we haven't mentioned yet that's really good is Ole Miss. That's a really good football. That's a really good football team. I don't know how he's done it. I don't know how they would be better than they were a year ago. I don't know how, and I'm not saying that they are. I'm just saying Ole Miss is very good. Ole Miss is a team that I think when the playoffs start, and Ole Miss is going to be in the playoffs, you just put that, they're winning out. For Ole Miss will be in the playoff.
Well, so who do they have left? Just refresh my memory. I know at State.
At State, they might even have no, they don't have a non-conference game left. I'll look it up, but they play everyone they play. They will be a substantial favorite against. But what I'm saying is, I look at Ole Miss as a team. Once the playoff field is announced, I'll be like, who could win 2 or 3 games here, or 3 or 4 games is Ole Miss. I think they're capable of advancing in the playoffs, and I won't say that about half the teams, but I will say that about Ole Miss.
Florida's on their schedule, but I don't know who else. I mean, they just took care of South Carolina. They've already beaten Kentucky.
The Florida game's at home too, I think.
The Florida game's at home, but the thing about Florida right now, Florida put up a fight yesterday. Florida they can't get the losing out of their DNA right now. It is.
Ole Miss does have a non-conference game. They play the Citadel.
Okay, so Florida, the Citadel, Mississippi State, and that's it.
Yeah, Florida at home, Citadel at home, at Mississippi State, who is playing better. I mean, I'll tune in to Ole Miss at Mississippi State, playing better.
Good enough to beat Georgia at Mississippi State.
Yes, because Mississippi State is playing good enough to be a little dangerous right now. And let me tell you, I watched a lot of that Mississippi State-Arkansas game. I was intrigued by it for a couple of reasons, and had family in town. Look, it'll be next year. That quarterback, Mississippi State, will start next year over there, Mario Taylor.
Yeah, Camario. Yeah, Camario.
Yeah, he goes by Mario.
Does he?
Yeah.
Can I get something right today?
He is freaking good. The talent is outrageous. I will say that. How about this? Boy, somebody's going to put this and throw it back in my face next year. More gifted than Sellers. Similar to Lenora Sellers. Similar. maybe better in terms of like similar size, faster. Boy, the arm, he's got to work on that. He's got to turn from a thrower into a passer. So he's got some development in front of him. But man, I was knocked out by him. The Mississippi State starting quarterback was lost. They bring Taylor off the bench, and Taylor leads them like 2 scoring drives in a row, one with his arm, one with his legs. And then they put Shapen back in, and that was really funny. And they won the game. So
Shapen begged. I was watching SEC whatever now or final. And they were like, Shapen was begging to come back in. He comes back in, he throws a pick.
Immediately.
But they leave him in there. And again, to his credit, they do come back and win. And that is huge. But if I'm Shapen, I'm like, yeah, I don't need – if I have a concussion, I better shake it off because this dude's going to come in and make something happen.
It's exactly my comment during the game when Shapen was begging the coaches to come back in. It's because he knew that once they put Taylor in, he might not ever get on the field again. He knows exactly what they've got in that dude. He's a talent, and Alabama's got to play at Mississippi State, I think, next year, and Taylor's going to be a handful.
Well, I'll tell you, we need to go to break, but I'm going to tell you who he reminds me of a little bit is Romero Miller from Ole Miss a long time ago, back in I think the early 2000s. He seems like the kind of guy we all thought Romero Miller was going to be. Like, Miller turned out to be okay, not great. I think this, and again, you're judging it on an Arkansas defense and all that.
Yeah.
But I just remember him from recruiting, and like, he kept shooting up the recruiting rankings. I was like, how is nobody else getting in on this dude? Why is he going to Mississippi State? But he's from that area. He apparently loves Mississippi State. He's a dude. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Talking a little FanDuel now, because FanDuel is awesome. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks, baby. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making the late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers 300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Weirdly, Jimmy Stein not guaranteeing it.
Well, the last thing I'm going to do is guarantee people's bets. I don't even guarantee my own. I've been, obviously wrong about several. No one's going to get it all right. It's impossible to just know how it's all going to work out.
I was talking, I had a bookie in Ellick City area for a long time. And several years ago, like 15 years ago, I called him and I was like, hey, this is, number 697 or whatever I was. Because you had to have a code.
Oh, and I thought that's where you were in the rankings.
No. He said, let me call you back. I'm going poopy. And I was like, you just say, let me call you back. Why tell me the other part? I don't need to know it. I don't want that mental image. You put it in there.
Not everything has to end in E. Like, I'm a bookie. I must take a poopy.
He actually said another term that I cannot say.
Oh, okay.
He said another term that I cannot say. But
gotcha.
I mean, I could have used to say it, and I'll say it when I'm not aware. But I can't say it now. But
yeah, that makes it even worse, frankly.
I legitimately asked him, like,
why are you telling me this?
Why did you tell me? He's like, well, I need to call you back. I was like, it could have been for numerous things, and it wouldn't have mattered about any of them. So anyway,
why did you let's talk about that?
Let's talk about what's going on the rest of this week.
Yep.
So, okay, LSU is going to, like you said, we are locked on Bama, but man, I am going to be focused on what's going on at LSU this week. They've got, is it Verge Osbury? Is that his name?
Osbury is the new AD, right?
AD? Yeah.
Yep.
So, and he was a linebacker, I think, back in the 90s for LSU. And he has come out and been very linebacker-esque with some of his comments in terms of, well, we're LSU. We should make the playoffs every year. We're going to go get the best coach no matter what it is. And we should.
Who does that?
And I'm like, dude, why? I mean, the fans can think that. And Alabama fans, we think we should be in the playoffs every year. But I can tell you this: Georgia fans think that, Ohio State fans think that, Michigan fans think
It
that.
won't happen for all these fan bases that believe that that should be the standard. Guess what? It's not going to happen for you. I'm speaking to Alabama.
Right.
Obviously, that's true. There's been a playoff in Alabama, wasn't there? Guess what, Ohio State? You don't have a birthright to be there.
Right.
Oregon, all these teams, Georgia, that believe, oh, we'll be in it every year because there's 12 teams. No. It's because generally, I think over time, Luke, if we keep it at 12, I think the average year is going to be 4 SEC teams. That'll be the average normal year, 4. And this current SEC, it is going to be very difficult to repeatedly be a top 4 SEC team. Very difficult. Some teams will be more consistent than others, but top 4 every year in the SEC, not in this new world. I don't believe it.
No, and I'm with you. Texas thinks they need to be. A&M's going to think that now. And once you make it like Indiana, they're going to think, well, why don't we just go there every year? I mean, this is stupid. We should go every year. And
creates an expectation.
I mean, there are Auburn fans now who think we should be in the playoffs every year. There's not enough slots.
Yeah,
and so it's going to it creates this vicious cycle. But LSU is in that cycle right now because LSU, to me, is one of the legitimate schools. You don't ever want to say we should always be in the playoffs. You should say we should regularly be in the playoffs.
Annual contender.
And I think that's a fair way to put it.
Contender for a playoff spot, to me, are elite programs right now. If you're an annual contender for a playoff spot, and I think LSU should be a program like that. Yes.
Okay, but you've got the governor coming out and saying, hey, this Scott Woodward fella, whoever that Nimrod is, he ain't picking the coach. Well, now he's fired. And now you put in this Verge Osbury, who I don't know how long I think he's an LSU guy through and through, and that's great.
Yep.
But it seems to me LSU may need hey, we sort of need to back away from an LSU guy, let somebody with actual sense come in here and fix this thing. Like, let's get it cleaned up as best we can. And it is so crazy to see how far away LSU has gotten from the everything is zipped up tight to the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted Nick Saban era. It took them a long time, but they finally unraveled it all.
But Alabama fans, Alabama teams, talking to the team who no doubt's crowded around their podcast machine listening to this, don't think LSU's going to show up and lay down. I mean, we saw Florida yesterday battle Georgia for 60 minutes without their coach as just one example. LSU is going to play hard, and they're going to show up to win. And the assistant coaches are going to implement some changes, I'm sure, to the X's and O's, maybe even some personnel that's going to be very difficult for Alabama to prepare for because we don't know what they're going to do. We don't have tape. We don't have tape of a Frank Wilson head coach football team with different guys calling plays and different assistants taking on different roles. It's going to be a difficult preparation, and this is one of the most talented teams Alabama will play in 2025, including teams that you might see in the playoff if Alabama gets that far. LSU has got as many dudes as anyone out there.
Not only that, you do have to believe that some of these players are auditioning, whether they're auditioning for pay raises at LSU or auditioning to, hey, I want some other coach to see me and understand this is what I'm worth. So now that can work both ways because if you are auditioning for yourself, you may not be so team oriented. I understand all that. I'm just saying my advice to those out there who gamble, and I do, is to not bet on this Alabama game. You have no idea what to expect. In fact, we're talking about not knowing what to expect right now, and I bet you some other monkey wrenches get thrown in this game between hither and yon. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a funky week for Alabama. I'm looking forward to everybody getting back into some normalcy. And look, the other thing we didn't mention in this beginning, Oklahoma's win over Tennessee makes the Bama-Oklahoma game like now Bama, Oklahoma is the week of Texas and Georgia. Bama, Oklahoma is bigger?
Up there. I mean, Bama, Oklahoma would be one of the biggest games of the year. And, Texas, Georgia, that'll be awesome. Now, Oklahoma, if they're firing on all cylinders, Oklahoma's very tough to beat because I think that's the best defense in the league, defense in the SEC, and John Mateer's the quarterback, on the other side of the ball. That's a tough team and a difficult team to beat. Much better. They're much better than the Oklahoma team that beat Alabama, 20-3 last year. This is a much better Oklahoma team than that team. And Oklahoma, with the schedule they played, they're one of the few teams in the country. I can say this: 9-3, they'll still have an argument to get in because their schedule's insane.
They won't. They won't because
probably not, but they could. They'll have an argument to get in. Most 9-3 teams just have no argument at all.
I think their argument would be fall on the same deaf ears ours did.
Yeah, and it could. It could. Let's see how it works out for everyone else. Are there going to be 2 Big 12 teams? Are there going to be 2 ACC teams? That looks less and less likely with Miami losing to an average SMU team. But let's see how many SEC teams make it and what the arguments are. But I'm just saying Oklahoma, I wouldn't suggest to them finishing 9-3. I'm just saying their schedule is insane, and we're supposed to be paying a lot of attention to the schedule this year. The committee's supposed to be. That'll be interesting to watch Tuesday night. There should be signs Tuesday night that this is a different committee approach. There should be signs that that's true. That'll be one of the intriguing things about the Tuesday night rankings. Yeah,
no doubt. All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. A lot more Alabama talk tomorrow, but a lot of stuff happening this weekend that is indirectly affecting Alabama. And also, we'll give you a little preview on Bama, North Dakota tomorrow night. So until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.